Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om.
Hey everyone, so happy you can join us for the Love Everyone podcast
with your hosts Govind Das and Rama Chandra Das.
A conversation of love, devotion, and walking the path of Bhakti Yoga.
Welcome, everybody. Love Everyone podcast, episode 11. It is so great to be with you all. My name is Govind Das, and welcome.
Oh, it's so great to be here with you, everybody, and you, Govind Das. It's always such a pleasure. My name is Rama Chandra Das, and episode 11, that sounds very auspicious.
It sure does, especially for Hanuman lovers like us. Why is this number 11 so powerful?
Well, were you about to tell us?
No, you tell me.
Okay, well, there was a couple reasons. One, the more obvious reason is that Hanuman is said to be the 11th incarnation of Shiva. We had to spend a whole episode talking about Hanuman being an incarnation of Shiva. But I also, the one that I like is that it's double one. It's like because we talk about sub-ek all the time, which means it's all one, and this is it's like one. It's like it's a double. I don't know.
Wait, do that again.
It's like one. I mean, I might be the only one in the world that has this, double one take on the number 11, but I don't know. I like it.
I do too. I love the 11, it's like anytime I see the number 11, it's like it just brings Hanuman to my mind and put that into our daily rituals. I mean, first thing I do is splash my water on my face 11 times every morning and take 11 sips of water. And it's for Hanuman lovers, this number 11. And this is the 11th episode of Everyone podcast.
So don't build it up too much, though, because we haven't seen where this episode's going yet. But I have a feeling it's going in a good direction. It's already good. We've got the numerology, the Hanuman numerology behind it. So
hey, if we can just pick up on where we went on the last episode, that was
well, we certainly enjoyed it.
I don't know if anybody else did, but we were laughing the whole time. That was great.
That's great. So, hey, we're always wondering, Govind Das, while you're on your world tour, where are you today?
I am coming in live from a town called Bexhill, England. So basically, it's about an hour and a half south of London on the coast. My wife, we have some kirtans this week in Birmingham and in London. And my wife's mom, one of her best friends from childhood, actually lives here on the coast in England on the southern end. And so we decided to come a couple days here before we leave tomorrow to head up to London for a few days. So it's been really nice. This lovely sort of small town. Biggest town that's near here is called Hastings. And
so you're on the coast?
Yeah, we're right on the coast.
Near Dover.
What is it called? The channel, the English Channel is just 50 yards away from here.
Beautiful.
And we had cold English weather the last couple of days, but today it was beautiful and sunny and 75, 80 degrees, and it's been great. And then we're headed up to Birmingham tomorrow. One of our dear sisters from our Hanuman Chalisa sadhana is putting on an event there, a woman named Caroline, that you probably remember. And then on Friday night, we head to London to to do an event with Radhika Das at his weekly Friday night kirtan. We're going to share the event with him. So that should be cool. And then we stay a couple days and then we're headed up to Ireland. So not so long here, just in and out.
Mm.
But, it's nice to be here.
Have you spent much time in London?
I have not. I was here about 30 years ago,
Wow.
and that was the only time I was here. How about yourself?
Yeah, well, I actually lived in London for about a year.
Really?
Yeah, and spent a lot of time there since then, but love it. Just love London. We were there a couple of years ago, um, just for a few days, but just had a great time.
Nice.
It's just a beautiful city. Public transportation so amazing. There's so much great food, and uh, it's just vibrant and happening city. Love it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that's great.
that's cool.
So, hey, I just want to change the conversation a little bit. What about this new discovery, Hanuman Chalisa, that just released by Rob and Melissa? Beautiful, man. I absolutely love it. Congrats.
Cool. You like those guys, Rob and Melissa?
I love Rob and Melissa, dude. They're awesome.
Yeah, they're pretty cool.
They're really cool, aren't they?
I just say that because, if you don't know me, then you don't know that I'm also Rob, of Rob and Melissa. But we won't go into my whole name, Leela. But
That's
I just
that's your alter ego.
it's my alter ego, or no, my alter. That's my alter ego. My altar ego is Ramachandra Das, the one that I take to the altar. But anyway, yeah, Rob and Melissa just came out with a new Hanuman Chalisa, and I'm glad you like it, Govind.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's really, really beautiful. I mean, I know the melody. I've heard you sing it so many times. Um, Mostly solo, of course, on our Hanuman Chalisa sadhana, but I really love the production of it and the instrumentation of it. It came through very, very nice.
Yeah.
Tell me about it. Tell me about the production and
Well,
all the good stuff.
yeah. So this was actually the first song we recorded when we went to Chattanooga to make our new album, which by the way is coming out on August 1st. So I think this episode we're recording right now is going to be out before then. So our new album, including this Discovery Chalisa, is coming out August 1st, and we recorded, excuse me, in Chattanooga, Tennessee, literally about 2 blocks away from the Chattanooga Choo Choo.
Mhm.
They've still got a train there with the Chattanooga Choo Choo all over it, and the train depot there. And we went to Chattanooga to record with Girish. Many of you might be familiar with Girish. He's a kirtan singer, and it's been around for a long time. In fact, he was one of Krishna Das's first tabla players. And that's how long he's been in the kirtan scene. And it was the first song that we recorded, and we thought that it would be an auspicious way to begin the recording session with the Hanuman Chalisa. And the instrumentation came together. The way we worked with Girish was we sent him all of our demos with basically the melodies, and Melissa and I just singing together, the harmonium, the guitar. We sent him that. And then he created like more polished demos, and he added instruments. And one of my favorite instruments that he added is there's an ektar in there,
Mhm.
and it's near the end, right after the Pavana Tanaya Sankataharana Mangala Murati Rupa, and then it goes ding 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 ding, and then before it goes into the Sri Ram part. And it really stands out, and I just love it every time I hear it. I mean, it's in the whole song, but you can't really hear it over the other instruments. But he's one of the things I love about Girish is because he was a drummer to begin, is that he's got a lot of like great rhythmic, ideas, and he really brought like a cool kind of groove to the whole to the whole song, that kind of gave it a new energy that I really dug. And anyway, so.
Beautiful. Let me ask about, it sounded like there's maybe some other voices in there. Did you record some
Oh,
friends singing with
yeah, we
you?
did. Yeah, we recorded a little. We call it the Shakti Choir, and they're on a number of songs. We recorded them here after we had recorded the whole session in Chattanooga. We came back to Seattle, and then we added those voices for the Sri Ram, Jai Ram parts, and then also for the J J J, we threw them in there as well. So we put about 10 or 12 of our friends our friends slash best voices from our local kirtan scene,
Mm.
and we put them in the living room, and and we set up the mics and we recorded that all here in the living room. So and sent that to Girish, and then that stuff was really taken to the next level by our mixer, who's named Hans Christian. You've probably heard of Hans Christian. He's a
Yeah.
great cello player as well, and he collaborates with a lot of different kirtan bands. And he once he got that into the mix, he was really able to make that sound great. And it's funny, the one thing about the Hanuman Chalisa was that it's the only song on the whole album that I did the vocals in one take.
Mm. Mm.
I did the whole thing in one take. First take, all the way through. I was like,
Mm.
okay, what do you guys want? Something different? They were like, both Melissa and Girish were like, it's great. We love it. It's perfect. And that was day one of the recording session. So I was like, I'm on, man. I've got this recording session dialed. And that was the only take even remotely
Uh,
from then on. I mean, Girish really pushed us vocally. He would be like, I'd do like a half a dozen takes, and then he'd be like, "Okay, cool, you finally got the rhythm right,
mm.
right. So now we got to work on the pitch."
Mm.
Be like, "Oh, well, what do you mean? I'm out of pitch?" Yeah. Okay, so we do another half a dozen, and then he go, "Okay, you got the pitch, you got the rhythm." And he's like, "Now give me the bob." So, I mean, there were multiple songs on there, which I'm embarrassed to admit. There were way more takes than I feel even comfortable admitting to
Mm.
everybody. But the recording process is a lot different than leading a kirtan.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, but we got there in the end, and we're really excited about it. So thanks for asking. I'm
Oh,
glad
I
you
can't
took a
wait to hear the
listen.
rest of it, man. I can't wait
Yeah.
to. So August 1st. What is the name of the album?
The name of the album is called The Story of Sita and Ram.
Hmm, beautiful.
And there's a title
You
track.
did a post. You did a post with that. And is that the artwork that we saw on that post?
Oh no, the post with that, I just sent that to you.
Oh, you just sent that to me.
That was a little, inner circle preview that you got, but
Oh, it's beautiful.
we're about to reveal the artwork here real soon. Yeah. So still kind of pushing the Chalisa for the next week or so, but then we're gonna switch it up and start getting people excited about the album. So yeah.
And last question, why is it called the Discovery Chalisa?
Oh, it's called Discovery Chalisa. It doesn't have a very profound reason, actually. The discovery part is that when we first came up with the melody, and I actually was just digging out the video because we went down to Discovery Park here in Seattle, and we videoed us playing that Chalisa, and that was in 2018, and I dug up the video because I was considering like using it as a promotional piece, but I don't know. I'm sort of having second thoughts because, it was a long time ago. But and it's changed a lot and everything. Although we look great, we look young and thin and everything. But we just from that moment on, we started calling it the Discovery Chalisa. So
Yes.
it's just always been the Discovery Chalisa, and we were like, well, should we change the name, give it some more, and then and we just kept it Discovery Chalisa. So it's not that exciting. We
Mm.
posted it on Facebook on, do you know Ira Rose?
Yeah, I don't know him so well, but I've heard of him. Yeah.
He has like a Hanuman Chalisa Facebook page that he manages, and also a Neem Karoli Baba Facebook page that he manages. And there's like, he's got like, most of them are Indians, but he's got hundreds of thousands of people following these pages. And we posted the Chalisa, and he loved it. And he posted it on both his pages. And it kind of went, I guess, as viral as a Chalisa can go in America,
Yeah.
you know. That's not by Krishna Das,
Nice.
you know. So that's another reason why I was like, and so we had this video from Discovery Park,
Mm.
and it just became the thing. So
Nice. 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 Well, congrats.
thanks, bro. Yeah.
Really nice. And can't wait to hear the album.
Yeah.
August 1st, the story of Sita and Ram. I love that name. That's
Yeah. It's cute.
great.
It just kind of, it just was the name of one of the songs, and then it just kind of felt like that should be the whole thing. And this
I
is perfect.
definitely.
By the way, that's perfect as a lead-in for our Hanuman Chalisa line today,
Mm, mm, great.
because as we will reveal momentarily, um, it's all about the stories.
Mm, beautiful. Well, I was going to say, I definitely hear an up level production wise from your past album to this. If everything just sounds clear and big and open um and just alive.
Hmm.
So yeah, great job.
Well, thanks. Yeah, I think we're super happy with it. We changed it up from our past producer, and that was kind of hard because we love Ben, who we worked with in the past, and but we just wanted to shake it up. It seems to have worked. So
Sometimes you got to do that.
yeah, yeah. It was funny when I talked to Ben. I felt so bad. I called him up and I was like, Ben, I felt like I was cheating on him or something. I said, Ben, we're gonna,
I got to talk to you for a second.
yeah, we really need to talk. Are you sitting down? And you know, and I said, Ben, we're gonna use a different producer for this album. And he's like, Rob, we don't have like a contract with each other or anything. He's like, you can work with whoever you want.
I thought you were going to say, say, Rob, I didn't really want to work with you guys again.
Well, I think that's what he said. Like, he just said it. He's a very nice guy. He's a very he's a very nice guy. I wanted him to be a little more upset though, that I was hoping for just a little bit more. Oh man, really? God, I love you guys. But no, we didn't get any of that.
That's great. That's great.
When's your
Well, cool.
Lisa album coming out, by the way?
What's that?
When's your Hanuman Chalisa album coming out
Actually,
that you've been working on for a
soon, soon.
decade?
I've been telling you soon for years.
Years.
Well, it's in a whole nother uh, JR, who was engineering it, his mom, unfortunately, now has brain cancer.
Uh,
So he has to pull out of doing everything. So I'm going to have to get it to somebody else to
mhm.
essentially mix just the last few songs and look at a few other things. But it's just been so hard with being on the road,
Sure.
doing anything like that, because most of the mixing has been virtually with me there. So, yeah. So as soon as I get back home, wherever that is going to be, um, that's what it's going to be like the priority, the
Uh,
very most important thing.
you could always at least trickle out a single or here or
Well,
there.
that's what I was thinking. Actually, I was inspired from you guys doing that, thinking, well, maybe I should just release a few,
Yeah.
just to put them out there.
Even just one, just to let
Yeah,
us give us something, man.
yeah, yeah.
Something.
So I was actually really thinking that. And the one I was thinking of releasing first is this From the Ashes one, because this is
Oh,
what's so alive with us. And
yeah,
that one is just needs to be mixed. So it could be put out there pretty soon.
great. All right, well, we're looking forward to it. We'll keep reminding you. I
Yeah. Yeah. Let's dive in, man. Why don't we
think
go
we
for
should.
it?
Want to
Yeah,
do our opening prayers?
absolutely.
All right.
All right. So we invoke the Guru, the divine teacher. Om Kandamandalakaram Vyaptam Yena Characharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha.
Salutations to the Guru who revealed to me the supreme truth, which is unfragmented, infinite, timeless divinity, and which pervades the entire universe.
Jnana Timirandasya Yananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha.
Salutations to the Guru who opened my eyes, which had been blinded by the darkness of ignorance, by applying the divine ointment of self knowledge.
Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha, Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha, Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha.
Guru is the creator, sustainer, and the destroyer. Guru is directly the Supreme Spirit, both manifest reality and the Absolute. My reverential salutations to the glorious Guru who resides in the hearts of all beings as the true Self.
Hari Om. Bolo Shri Satgurudev Bhagwan Ki.
Jai.
Shri Baba Neem Karoli Santa Maharaj Satgurudev Bhagwan Ki.
Jai.
Jai Gurudev, Jai Sitaram, Jai Hanuman.
Jai Hanuman.
All right, so let's dive in, everybody. We are on line 8. So, for those of y'all jumping in here first time with us, each session we look at a line of the Hanuman Chalisa.
Mm.
And we are up to line 8. And line 8, the English says, "You delight in hearing of the Lord's deeds. Ram, Lakshman, and Sita dwell in your heart." Let's read it one more time. You delight in hearing of the Lord's deeds. Ram, Lakshman, and Sita dwell in your heart.
Mm.
I'll read the Avadi a few times. Prabhu Charitra Sunibe Ko Rasya Rama Lakana Sita Manabasya. One more time. Prabhu Charitra Sunibe Ko Rasya Rama Lakana Sita Manabasya. All right. So, brother, I know this is one of your favorite lines. And I know all of them are your favorites, but this one, I think, really, in knowing you so well, this one really pops out. Any first reflections on this line, Chopai number 8?
Mm. I was just thinking, we talk a lot about Hanuman, like being a role model, trying to live like Hanuman, trying to uh, step into those, enormous, enormous shoes that Hanuman has. But this one, and most of those, most of that is really challenging to live like Hanuman. Oh my gosh, I mean, Hanuman he's so amazing. We can just we can just try to be a sliver of Hanuman's greatness in our own lives. But this one, I really feel like I relate this to Hanuman. When I hear this one, I always feel like, ah, yes, I also, Hanuman, delight in hearing of the Lord's stories. And I love this that it says here, you delight in hearing of the Lord's deeds is the translation, but really the word that we need to look at is this word rasya. And rasya really means like the nectar, the delicious nectar that the stories of the Lord to Hanuman are like nectar. Like there's nothing more delicious to Hanuman than to hear the stories of Sita and Ram. The story of Sita and Ram, which of course we know resides mostly in Ramayana, many, many wonderful versions of Ramayana. So that's the first thing that comes out is just how nectarous these stories are. And do you experience that, by the way, when you hear these stories, the nectar's quality?
I do, brother. I feel, like since the ancient times, through story
Mm,
that has been passed on and passed on and passed on, that's how we have come to know the embodiment of God. That's how we've come to know these incarnations. And it's through the stories that they come alive within our hearts, and that we actually start to feel a heart connection in that beautiful association with them, that they're no longer just one dimensional, but they become three-dimensional and alive in our own being. And then that, I feel like that's when this love play between, you know devotee and beloved can start to really begin to take shape as we begin to um, come into that deeper understanding
mm,
of who these beings are and their pastimes when they were here on earth,
mm,
how they lived, how they spoke, the actions that they took, the dharma that they fought for and stood up for. And even in the case of Lord Ram, the humanity that he experienced, the heartbrokenness, the longing for his beloved Sita Devi,
mm,
the friendship that he experienced in brotherly love with Lakshman and Bharata, and that immense intimacy of closeness between him
mm,
and Hanumanji, and how that comes alive through us is through this in us is through this story of Ramayana.
mm. You know, I was thinking about, remember back in the old days when you'd be at the video store and you're like trying to pick out a movie to watch and it's like
What was the name of those damn stores? Gosh, we had a few.
Blockbusters.
And there
Blockbuster
was something
video.
before that. I can't even remember the
Yeah,
name.
well, yeah, there was lots,
They were like mom and pop shops, and then Blockbuster
then
came.
Blockbuster, yeah. But I was just thinking about, you'd be at the video store and be your friend would be like, "Oh, you want to see that?" You'd be like, "Oh no, I saw that. I don't want to see it." "Oh, I saw that. Oh, I don't want to see that." And 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 movies, are just a perfect example of, like, they can really draw us in, especially if you're at the movie theater, and you can really get drawn in. But the something that I noticed that's really different about these yogic stories, the stories of the deities, stories of Ram and Sita and Krishna and all the devas, is that it's the opposite of, oh, I've seen that. Oh, I don't want to see that. I've already seen that. Oh, I've already heard that story of Sita and Ram before. No, I don't want to see that. It For me, my experience is it's the absolute opposite. The more that I hear them, the more delicious they get. The more I want to imbibe in that story, in that Leela. We were just talking, I think maybe even last week when we were in Times Square, there's a huge poster for a new Ramayana movie
Mm.
coming out, and I just can't get enough of it. There could be a new Ramayana movie every week, as far as I'm concerned, and I would watch it. And unfortunately, most of them, they haven't really succeeded yet. So there's always a little bit of Bollywood cheese to them or something that doesn't quite hit. But I don't care. I'll watch it anyway. Um, and and Hanuman, it's all he wants to do. In fact, it's said that when we are telling the story of Ramayana, that we always have to have an extra seat in the satsang, for Hanuman to sit, because that's how much he loves. And in fact, it's said that he's there, even if he's not, like, there's no monkey sitting on that seat that you placed. That's a symbolic thing that we do as either the storytellers or the people organizing the satsang or whatever. That's a symbolic thing, that gesture that we make towards Hanuman. But it's said that Hanuman is there in some form at every telling of Ramayana. So that's another reason why these stories are so delicious, is because as I'm hearing the story, or as I'm telling the story, that I'm involved in listening to the story, is that there's a part of me that's like, this is also a way of, like, bringing Hanuman. It says here, Ram and Lakshman and Sita dwell in your heart. But we can add Hanuman to that list as well. When we hear these stories, it's like we're inviting Hanuman. Hey, Hanuman. It's like you almost want to, like, blow the conch. You'd be like, "Boo, hey, Hanuman, come on, we're about to tell stories of Sita and Ram. And he shows up. Some people like to say, oh, maybe he's a fly in the corner, or a spider, or maybe he's the mouse outside the window, or something like that. But um, I don't know. It brings out the child in me too. Sometimes when I hear the story, I just feel myself, like, listening, like someone's reading me a bedtime story or something. And it's pretty cool.
Yeah, what I'm just like feeling right now and reflecting on this is how is it possible? One, as you said, that the story never gets old. I just want more and more. And the two, that each time I listen to it, somehow it feels as though I'm becoming a better human being. I'm becoming more, just like, it's so rich and so layered with such divinity and perfection, and entwined with the human teachings of living in a body and life, and the inward journey as well too, that just by listening or reading the story of Ramayana, it it nourishes me at, like, the most deepest level,
Mm.
and that it spiritually awakens us. And again, it's almost contradicts on some level that thought of to be spiritual, I just need to sit with my eyes closed and blast off, to some astral realm. But here is a story of, you know, on some level, tremendous heartbreak that Lord Ram and Sita, God and goddess, who have come to form, have to endure this tremendous, tremendous heartbreak on so many levels.
Mm.
And that in reading this or listening to this, how it awakens us on a spiritual level. And I always love, like at the end of our favorite Ramayana version, there's, why is his name escaping me right now? The version,
Ramesh Menon.
Ramesh Menon, of course. Those like 2 pages that go on and on. If you listen to Ramayana, your life will be blessed.
Mhm.
If you read Ramayana, you will be fruitful in your life. You will have children. You will on and on and on the blessings
Yeah.
that are spoken about just by, welcoming the story
Mm.
into our minds and our hearts.
Well, honestly, that's nothing compared to the way Tulsidas goes on about it. He goes on for about 100 pages before he even starts telling the story about how anybody who listens to the story is going to be, blessed upon blessings. And then he'll tell a sequence. I just finished. Well, I'm reading it currently right now. It's by the way, full disclosure, it's almost the only thing that I read anymore is Ramayana, and I throw in a Bhagavad Gita here and there, and sometimes even the Yoga Sutras, but mostly it's Ramayana. And someone said to me recently, they're like, "Don't you want to like read a novel or something? Don't you get tired of reading that?" And I said, "No, I just don't get tired of reading it." And just spent 150 pages extolling Bharat's virtues.
Mm.
So it's over a tenth of the entire book is the sequence from the time Bharat finds out that Ram has been exiled and that his mother has, has betrayed him to the time that he leaves Ram in the forest is over 150 pages. Um, Over a tenth of the entire book. And the whole time, it's like anybody who hears this story of Bharat will become enlightened. Anybody who has, sees the love between Bharat and Ram will, have this boon, this blessing, on and on and on and on. So, and I was thinking about that when you were talking about Ram's humanity, because, in many stories, especially Valmiki, Ram kind of doesn't know that he's God. Or he has moments that he kind of has a glimpse of it, but he never really, he's more of a human being. But in Tulsidas's version, he seems very aware of who he is and understands it. And everyone's telling him all the time. There's no way he could forget it. But even that, even knowing how divine he is and knowing how beyond the gunas and beyond the human, life that he's incarnated into, even knowing that there's so many moments with him and Bharat where they just break down and sob, they love each other so much. And in the Tulsidas version, it's so cool because they for 50 pages, Ram and Bharat go back and forth. And in essence, I'm paraphrasing very, very dramatically, but it's like, well, what do you think should happen? And then the other one says, well, I think we should do what you think should happen. And then what do you think? Neither of them will really put their foot down, And in the end, it's not really Ram saying, I won't come back. It's Bharat recognizing that his dharma is to do what Dasarat had requested, and so they end up like just kind of coming naturally to the same equation. But um, I guess I'm taking it off on a little bit of a tangent, but to that the love between Bharat and Ram, which is like the love that you were describing of the God and the devotee. They Tulsidas mentions so many times, Bharat's the servant, Ram is the master. But in those moments, which they have over and over and over, where they embrace each other and they're crying these tears of separation, um, and of just love for each other, you really see the humanity of Ram, and 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 it's just so inspiring. Just it's just like wow, you know.
What do
Ah,
you think about the second part of this line? Ram, Lakshman, and Sita dwell in your heart. I mean, he says this. Tulsidas is the first time of what, three times, I believe, he says that pretty much the same thing. Well,
yeah.
I guess he says, Lord, make your home in my heart. But then, of course, in the final Doha as well, too, O King of Gods, Ram, Lakshman, Sita,
Oh,
dwell in my heart. Um, this is beautiful, right? This is this is bhakti, because all of these paths, there are many different paths of yoga, we know, but bhakti is the path of the heart. And when we hear things like Ram, Lakshman, and Sita dwell in your heart, it it shows us that Hanuman is like is the bhakta,
mm,
is the bhakta, right? The incarnation of bhakti himself. We talked about last week. He's so many things, but the heart, the heart of Hanuman is the heart of pure love
mm.
and pure devotion to Ram and Sita, of course, and his brother Lakshman.
Well, I love what you're saying because I think it's true that this is the essence and the nectar of bhakti is to wake up those those divine qualities in our heart, like in our
Mm.
spiritual heart, is to wake up that quality of devotion that Hanuman represents, to wake up that quality of 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 pure consciousness that Ram represents, to wake up our connection with the earth and with our body and with our physical life that Sita represents, to wake up the willpower, within us that Lakshman represents, and to and when we hear these stories and we see that stuff play out and we recognize how this story of Ramayana is playing out in our own consciousness, because it is, and this is the way that a lot of commentators will talk about Ramayana, is that it's like it's happening within us on a micro level, and that's, I think, why we respond to it so much. It's another reason why it's so exciting, and intuitively we understand that this battle between Ram and Ravana, which is, ultimately the battle of our pure awareness and our true self, our higher self, and our lower self, or our egoic tendencies, our selfish tendencies. This battle is going on all the time, and I think that's ultimately what we're trying to do, is to wake those qualities up. All of our chanting, all of our japa, all of our stories, all of this is trying to wake those qualities up in ourselves. There's the wonderful metaphor, and we you hear it in different ways, um, but the wonderful metaphor that, Ram is consciousness, like the sun, the light that sparks us up. Sita is the body, or the earth. I always like to describe them as like Father Sky, Mother Earth. but consciousness and form. We hear that too in the Gita. We hear that in the sutras, Purusha and Prakriti, these two concepts, Shiva and Shakti. But that it's our ego that keeps them separate. And Ravana is the one that abducts Sita. It's the ego that pulls them apart. And we don't feel that divine union that we all want to feel. We want to feel like we're one. Our body and our spirit are one. Like that's that feeling of wholeness. And that's what we're all going for, whatever, no matter what yoga we do. And Ravana, the ego, pulls us apart. And what brings us back together? Two things. One, we can use our willpower, which is Lakshman, who's Ram's, you know, his brother in arms. But most importantly, what brings Sita and Ram back together is Hanuman. And Hanuman represents devotion. And so when we hear these stories of how devotion can bring us into that divine union and help us to overcome our crazy mind, that inspires us. That makes me think, oh, I can do it. Got a path. And as Krishna Das likes to say, devotion gives us direction. And so these stories, they just inspire us and they light something up in our hearts.
And I want to just like for people that are new to this, and you hear the heart, everything we talk about so frequently in bhakti, the heart. It's not necessarily the physical heart that we're speaking about. It's the spiritual heart. It's the heart of love, of prema, of divine love that lives within our hearts. As Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, I am the very self that lives within the hearts of all beings. You know, Ram Dass used to have this teaching when you ask somebody, where do you live? Who are you? They don't point up here. They point here. So this is what we're talking about, the heart. And the heart is infinite, right? The infinite in space. There are no limits to the heart, this spiritual heart that we're speaking about. And when we say bhakti is this the path of the heart, it's coming back to this heart and living from the heart, not the head. Typically in the West, we're so conditioned to live from the head and from the intellect. And one of my favorite quotes from Ramakrishna, the mind is a terrible master, but a wonderful servant.
Mm.
So in bhakti, we say, use the mind. The mind is a wonderful servant of the heart, of the spirit. The soul lives in the heart. Live from love, live from your spirit, live from your soul. And yes, use your intellect as a tool, as a great instrument to serve that love, that devotion, that spiritual self that lives within our hearts.
Mm.
So, bhakti as this path of the heart is, you know, it's so special and it's so unique and it's so different than our typical Western way of living. And this is the name of this podcast. When we say the path of the heart, love everyone was Maharaji's teaching.
Mm.
And to love everyone, we can't do it. Ram Dass taught. We can't do it from our heads. Impossible.
No way.
Because the head is going to judge and criticize and say it's impossible to love everyone.
Mm-hmm.
But from the heart and the spiritual self, that's where we practice loving everyone, because the heart, it's the natural inclination of the spiritual heart. The spiritual self is to love.
Mm.
So bhakti, path of the heart.
Mm. You know, another thing about this line is that hearing the stories is actually the number one mode of Bhakti Yoga. Can you believe it? Kirtan is second
From one perspective,
from one
let's
perspective.
there's two paths here that I've,
Well, there's actually three. There's
three.
there's one in the Tulsidas.
Okay.
There's one in the Narada Sutras.
Narada Sutras has a
Narada
nine.
Bhakti Sutras has a list as well.
Hmm.
And then there's one from the Bhagavatam Purana. And the one I'm talking about is from the Bhagavatam, the nine modes, kind of the um, the most commonly discussed, I suppose. But you're right. In fact, it'd be an interesting podcast to one day is to pull out the Tulsidas and the Narada sutras and compare them.
From this perspective of the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is Krishna Bhakti,
Yeah.
number one is Shravanam, listening, hearing the stories first and foremost. Now, interesting though, in Tulsidas, hanging out is satsang.
Satsang is number one.
Satsang, hanging out with fellow bhaktas.
Yeah, but guess what? Guess what? Guess what most fellow bhaktas do?
Sing,
They sit
listen,
around and tell stories and sing kirtan.
eat prasadam.
Eat prasadam. That's what you do.
It's a good life, man.
My
Oh, such
gosh.
a good life.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. I mean, listen, this one, as you said, this is one of my favorite lines, mostly because I just love the story so much. It's the last thing, just to reiterate about how I was thinking about this when we were talking about how we can't ever really tire of hearing these stories. We've done now 24, 25 rounds. I'm not even sure anymore. We'll have to ask the mayor. He's the only one that knows how many rounds we've done of the Hanuman Chalisa sadhana. And we go through the 40 verses and we tell stories about the 40 verses. And which means that, like, we've heard, we've talked about this line and we've talked about the next line. We've talked about all the lines 25 times. And so we've told the same stories so many times over and over and over. And I still get excited. Like I'm like, ooh, tomorrow's the Hanuman leaps to the sun story. I can't wait to hear how G tells it tomorrow. You
Well, I
know?
think it goes back to what you said at the beginning is that there's a nectarous feeling and quality that comes through telling the story, hearing the story, reading the story. It's so delicious.
Gracias.
And I think that's why we keep coming back again and again to do it. And we have all these people that come back each round who have heard me and you tell these stories over and over again. And, I think maybe they're feeling the nectar as well, too. Not from us, but from the story, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it probably doesn't hurt that we love it so much.
Yeah.
That's that because that's bhakti is bhakti is contagious, you know. So
You get it from those who have it.
get it from those who haven't.
Mm.
Hey, you want to take a hit of LSD?
Do I want to take? I've already taken a few today.
Well, you want to take another one?
Let's take enough.
Let's take our
Never
daily
enough.
dose. Can
Never
never
enough.
You can never OD on the OG LSD.
Dude, we need that as a t-shirt right there.
You can't OD on the OG LSD. It is love, service, and devotion. So, what we like to do is introduce a bhakti quote or an inspirational quote from from a teacher or a saint. And in this case today, we've got a quote from Mr. Wayne Dyer, actually, doctor, I believe. He was a doctor, wasn't he?
Yes, yes.
I think so. And he said, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at begin to change.
Hmm.
All right, let's hear that one more time, everybody. Really soak it in. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at begin to change.
Hmm.
Got any thoughts on that one, brother?
I love this one. And actually, I love Wayne Dyer. He was one of, um, way back in 1993, had a roommate and he would listen to Wayne Dyer before he would go to bed every night. And he was in his room and I would hear him playing Wayne Dyer audio tapes. And I wasn't into this stuff at this point. And I would hear it. And at first, I remember it was annoying me. I was like, what is he listening to? The egoic mind, something that when we're not, what could we say? Like when we don't understand something, the first response is to judge it. And I remember my judgment. What is he listening to? What is this crap? And then I would be going to bed at night and I would hear things like, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at will begin to change. And I used to hear these truths, and I started to be like, whoa, what is this? What is this? And who is this? And so this was my first experience of satsang, is that within a few weeks, before we would go to bed, we would sit down and listen together.
Together. Oh, you got
Together.
sucked in.
I got locked in, and then discuss it, and then have these great dharmic discussions like your problems are gifts in disguise, right?
Oh.
I had never heard things like this.
Mm.
And so there was this incredible energy that was awakening inside of me at that time. I was
Mm.
22 years old. And and after having many LSD and mushroom experiences,
When
then
you say
that
LSD, by the way, are you
was the
talking
new
about
LSD,
the new LSD, not the
new
OG?
LSD.
Okay, all right.
And then so my mind had opened, but I had never heard language like this
Uh,
and somebody speak this truth. So I always carry Wayne Dyer deeply in my
mm,
heart, that I heard his teachings and it really, really affected me. And now it wasn't until much later that I had heard that Dr. Wayne Dyer was really a devotee of Ram Dass. And after Ram Dass passed away, he actually donated a lot of money, I believe, to Ram Dass's home. Um, and actually helped Ram Dass out a lot, I believe, as he was in his last chapter of his life with medical care and these types of things. So much gratitude to Wayne Dyer, Dr. Wayne Dyer. But let's look at this quote, because this one is powerful. There's this old saying, my perception creates my reality.
mm,
And I think there is so much of that in this quote. And my feeling is that we don't have control over so many things in this life. We have such little control over this body and even, the external world. But what we do have some control over, and this is what's really rare, that the human species has this ability to choose perception, to
Mm,
choose the way that you want to look at something.
mm,
And I think this is so radical. This is quantum, right? That when I up level or I choose a different way of seeing something that's more in alignment with my heart and a deeper sense of truth, that then the universe is going to reorganize things on the outside world
mm,
that's more in alignment with this new chosen way of perceiving
mm,
reality. That is freaking mystical.
mm.
And I imagine you've seen this in your life many times, as I have as well too. So the work, right, is to keep working on ourselves so that we can perceive the way we see experiences and moments and relationships, and from the most optimal, highest, capital T, truthful
Mm,
and spiritual perspective.
mm.
So I just love this one. How about yourself? Any thoughts?
Oh, so many that just as I'm listening to you and I'm thinking about this line, I'm just there's so many layers to it too, you know. I mean, on one level, it's metaphysical, but at the same time, you know, science actually, like observable science, the way that even like things behave in a petri dish can change depending on who's observing them and how they're observing them, or whether they're not observing them. Um, so that's even just like literally on a physical level, even that there's scientific evidence that shows that this line actually is not even just a metaphysical line, but on the metaphysical level, there's so many elements to this. I was thinking about this. It's like, okay, so when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at begin to change. At least a couple of ways that I'm thinking of that you could interpret that line. One is that the things that you're looking at are changing. The actual thing is changing, right? That you're actually affecting the thing that you're looking at. And you know, but you could also look at this from the things that you look at, you begin to change the things you look at,
Mm,
meaning you're
mm,
actually making different choices of what to look at.
mm,
Right? So it's not just that the thing you're looking at is morphing or becoming something else, but you're actually opting now to look at something else. We did this amazing exercise once at the Agape Spiritual Center in a class that I took where we basically had to like, they passed around pictures and we had to see God in every picture. And they'd pass around like a hummingbird picture, and of course, oh, it's so easy to see God. Or they pass around a puppy picture looking cute. Oh, it's so easy to see God. But then they would pass around a picture from like a horrible tragedy or from a scene of war or something, and you'd have to dig a lot deeper, you know but through the exercise you found that you're like, oh, well, then this picture of this war, I see this man helping this wounded person off the battlefield, and he's working so hard to help this wounded person, and I see God in that person helping, that you can really start to, the exercise was really designed to emphasize this quote: change the way you look at things, the things you look at begin to change. So there's so many things like that come up for me, like, okay, well, so we have a choice of what we look at, and also we can see like you mentioned his earlier, the other quote, that our challenges are gifts. If we can say that enough and affirm that enough, that when we encounter a challenge, that we actually see it as a gift. I mean, that's amazing, right? I mean, imagine if you could really embody that, totally embody that. Like our plane was so delayed the other day, and we were at the airport hours early, and I was not embodying that, you know. I I was really, really needing this line, man, and at some point I put on some music that really charged me up, and I danced around a little bit and I shook it off for a minute. But I'd say, man, I blew a bunch of time, where I could have been at least a lot more peaceful, at least at the very least. Even if I wasn't productive, so to speak, with italics, you know, and I saw that challenge as nothing but a pain in my neck, you know, and so there's so many ways to look at this line. I mean, we this is a heavy dose, by the way, of LSD, because it feels like it's almost like our whole path on some levels, like even back to our conversation about, you know, hearing the stories. When we hear the stories of Sita and Ram, and we hear the stories of Hanuman, we're inspired. And it helps us to view our life with optimism and joy and excitement and all this kind of stuff. But if we choose to just watch, crappy TV all the time and fill ourselves with, negative stories, or we choose to gossip and complain all the time, um, this we'll be living at one vibration. And we have the other thing that I wanted to mention, there's another angle here that I thought was really interesting, is that this line brings up to me, like, how much is really going on. Like, we're so tunnel visioned, right? So we are only seeing like what we want to see, or what we're just focused on, like that. But but there's so much going on, even within that one. And that was kind of maybe described in those photographs I was talking about. But there's this one thing that we're looking at. There it is. And someone sees the rain, but someone sees the rainbow. And what do we want to be? Do we want to see the rain, or do we want to see the rainbow? Do you know? Do we want to see the garbage on the ground, or do we want to see the flower that's blooming in the middle of that pile of garbage? You know? And wow, wow, great, great
Oh,
hit.
when you said the rain and the rainbow, I was thinking about if someone's seeing the rain and they're like, ah, this sucks. The weather sucks today. It's terrible. But this, to me, this quote, that the reorganization of things on the outside is so mind-blowing, that they're lost. Ah, the weather sucks. This is terrible. This is what a bummer. But then they make a little shift in, like, oh, you know what? Actually, there's so much beauty in this. And right at that moment, a rainbow appears. That's that fascinates me so much. One of the most fascinating things in spiritual life, that you're in such a awful place. I got no money. Oh, I'm struggling so hard. I can't pay my bills. And you're just a victim to the world and you're lost in negativity. And then you somehow, whether you do it or it's grace, I don't even know if we can take account for us doing it, but something shifts inside. And it's like, oh, even amidst this, life is so beautiful. I'm breathing. I have so many beautiful relationships. I have this path. And then the next thing you know is you get an email. Your great aunt has left you $15,000, you know, after she's passed away. Like those moments are so fascinating to me.
Mm.
And the thing is, like, you can't be attached to that stuff. You just got to keep up leveling your consciousness and then allow the grace. It's like almost like the expectation of it blocks it. Some people would say the expectation opens you up to more of it. I'd like to choose a more humble path in this sense, like keep up leveling, but stay humble because we're not in control. We're not manifesting. And just be open to the magic.
Well, here's one way to think of that though, G, which is still you can stay in a humble place, I think, is that like I don't have the expectation that the miracle is going to happen, but I believe in miracles,
Mm.
right? That's the up-leveled consciousness that's open to the miracles because the I don't believe in miracles is clearly going to block us. 100%. And an expectation of anything is going to be a challenge for us from a spiritual point of view because let's face it, we're talking about a very subtle manipulation of reality in especially in the external world. Most of us don't have siddhas. Most of us aren't like total yogic saints who can literally manifest a bag of money out of the river, you know. Right? So anytime we have some sort of expectation, we're setting ourselves up. But at the same time, I think for us to I guess what I was getting at too earlier is that like maybe the rainbow was already there. You see, that's the thing, is that it took that shift in perspective for you to even look up from the puddle, right? You're staring at the puddle and your wet feet and you're going, "Oh, I got to walk to work in the rain again," or whatever it is. And it might be that and I was getting at is that all this stuff, everything's happening at the same. There's so much happening. The world is just like it's an infinite thing happening because even while that's happening and you're staring at the pot, there's the rainbows above. Or maybe a myriad of other things, beautiful things happening, a bud that's blossoming, a creeper that's growing out of the ground right in front of your very eyes. So many, many things. And that shift of consciousness may or may not make that rainbow appear, but it certainly makes you, puts you in a position where you can see it. And so it's, it's whether we're actually metaphysically somehow affecting the external world or not isn't even ultimately important from a spiritual point of view. Um, and but then there's so many times I think change the way I look at things. Like literally when I started thinking about my dad in a different way, he changed. He did. I know he changed. You
I
know.
think with humans, this is such a big one. If we're coming at people with anger, but the moment we shift and come from a kind place, they respond back
Mhm.
most of the time. Going back a little bit, I'm always triggered a little bit by people that say, look what I manifested.
Oh, hell yeah. Sorry. Whoops, that just slipped out. Yes, I agree.
I manifested
Yeah, look
this.
what I manifested. Yeah. You're a good manifester. Yeah, for sure. 100%. I mean, but I do think it's a stage, right? That is that's kind of important sometimes for people to people are so disempowered. So many people feel like they just literally have no power whatsoever. And there's kind of a shift that happens at some point, and maybe the way that people describe it is in that level of consciousness that you're talking about, which is when they start to see that they can actually, because I could say, listen, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at begin to change. It might not be like that I'm manifesting money or whatever, but I could easily say that, listen, I manifested, peace in my life because I started changing the way that I looked at things, and so it's a semantics that doesn't really vibe so much in bhakti, that word, because Ram is the doer, right? To the bhakta, that we're just servants trying to like cup our hands to catch the grace that's always falling, and and to think that I'm the one that did anything doesn't jibe with the bhakti too much. But I do think just to listen, and I'm with you too, but I'm also trying to change the way that I look at people in terms of my own judgment. And I've had that same feeling. In fact, you saw me, I went ahead and I dropped the H bomb. We're trying to keep it clean here on the Love Everyone podcast, for the most part. But the way I agreed so quickly when you said that you get triggered by that, and I get triggered by that too. Um, but I want to be a little bit more open to the idea that this might be somebody who's feeling empowered for the first time in their life, and I think that's an important stage for people to go through.
You are so good, brother.
Well,
You are a supreme manifester.
well, I used to be.
You
I
used to
passed
be.
through
Now
that.
you
I
turned it
passed
over.
through that stage.
Turned it over. Now you turned it
No, I've actually never been really that great of a manifester, to be honest,
over.
much to my wife's dismay.
Mm. All
How about you?
right.
How about you? You a good manifester?
I'm not a manifester. I'm terrible. I just I just feel like I get in my own way when I try to manifest,
I
and that
know.
just it just breaks the whole thing apart.
I
So
know. I just pray.
I think I've just learned through the years, get out of the way, man. Get out of the way. Get out of the way. And that's that beautiful phrase, make space for grace. Um, man, yeah, when my ego is involved, it's terrible. It's just blows the whole thing, whatever it is that I'm doing.
That's it.
So
Hey, listen, I think we better wrap it up
do
here.
it, brother. Let's do it. Let's close out. You finish out with closing
Yes,
prayers.
closing prayers. Thanks everybody for being here. Oh. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu.
May all beings, including ourselves, be happy, be well, and be free from suffering. May all of our thoughts, may all of our words, and may all of our actions in some way contribute to that happiness, that well being, and that freedom from suffering for all. including ourselves, including ourselves, including ourselves.
Love everyone, feed everyone, serve everyone, and remember God.
Siyavar Rama Chandra ki.
Hey,
Sankatamochan Hanuman ki.
hey,
Jai Jai Siya Ram, Jai Jai Hanuman ki.
hey.
Shri Baba Neem Karoli Santa Maharaj Sadgurudev Bhagwan ki.
Jay.
Thank you so much, brother. Thank you, everyone. Episode 11, Jai Hanuman.
Jay Shri Ram.
Everyone podcast.
All right, we'll see y'all real soon. Ram Ram.
Jai Hanuman, Jai Shri Ram.
Jai Jai Ram.